Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. Today's video is going to be over measurement, but more specifically it's going to be over capacity, length, and weight in the customary and metric systems. Now, this video is accompanied with student note pages. The notes are very helpful to follow along with the video, but you don't have to have them. If you'd like to get the notes, you can click on the link in the description below, or you can just use a pencil and paper and keep up with that. Let's get started. Now, this video is going to talk about two different systems that we use for measurement. We use the customary system in the United States. In the rest of the world, the metric system's used. So you're going to learn about units from both systems. Now, imagine that they're kind of like a family. In the customary family, there are certain units that you have to memorize. And then in the metric family, it has its own units that you have to memorize. But each of these systems or families measures capacity, length, and weight or mass. Now, let's talk about capacity. Now, capacity is how much liquid a container can hold. Now, here I have a measuring cup. This is a very accurate tool that you can use to measure capacity. And these look all different types of ways. This measuring cup is glass and it goes up to 1 cup. I have other measuring cups that also measure. These are 1 cup containers. You can measure with different size measuring tools. A medicine cup can also measure small units of capacity. And you can use teaspoons, tablespoons to measure capacity as well. So there's many tools to measure capacity. We're going to start with the largest unit of capacity first, and we're going to move down to the smallest. Now, you probably have this unit in your refrigerator right now. The largest unit of capacity is the gallon. This comes in a gallon of milk, gallon of tea, gallon of orange juice. This is a large unit of capacity. Now, 1 gallon can hold 4 quarts. This is the next smallest unit of capacity, and that is quarts. So it takes 4 of these to fill the gallon container. Now, gallon, quart, the next smallest unit of capacity is the pint. This is a pint that actually holds a pint of ice cream, but it takes, this is an exact measurement, it takes 2 pints to fill a quart. It takes 4 quarts to fill a gallon. So let's talk about a conversion. If I converted pints to gallons, how many pints would it take to fill a gallon? Well, 2 of them fill a quart, 4 quarts fill a gallon. How many pints do you think fill a gallon? That would be 8. 8 pints fill a gallon. All right, the smallest unit of measurement that we're going to talk about is the cup. This is 1 cup. It's just simply a measuring cup. And there are actually 2 cups in a pint. There are 2 cups in a pint, so how many do you think would be in a quart? How many do you think would be in a gallon? Now, these are the main units of measurement you're going to be working with when you work with capacity this year. But capacity also has other units that are smaller. These are the ones that you're going to need to memorize. But a cup, you need to know, is actually 8 ounces of water. Okay, so let's talk about fluid ounces. This cup can hold 8 ounces of water. Now, I have a tiny little measuring cup right here, and this cup actually has 1 ounce of water. This is what 1 ounce of water looks like. Now, a true cup can actually hold 8 ounces of water, and this is what 8 ounces of water looks like. I dyed the water blue so you could see it a little more clearly. So 8 ounces can fill this little cup. So ounces also have a place to play in units of capacity because they measure very small amounts. If you have to take medicine and you need to take ounces, you would use a small unit like this, a small capacity to take medicine. Okay, let's try a little challenge. I have some containers from around my house and in my fridge that I pulled out, and I want to see if you can guess how much the container actually holds. Does it hold a gallon, a quart, a pint, or a cup? Okay? Now, let's try and figure these out. So, I have some beef broth. Would you say that this is a gallon, quart, pint, or cup? Think about it, pause the video, take a guess. It is a quart. The beef broth is 1 quart. All right, what about my coffee creamer? Think about how much this can hold. This coffee creamer is 1 pint, holds 1 pint. All right, how about my son's apple juice? It's a quart. It holds 1 quart. How about some sour cream? This is 1 cup. Good guess. I have a mason jar here. It is empty. Can you guess? It's a pint. 1 pint. How about this milk? Is it a gallon, quart, pint, cup? Now, this one is actually half a gallon. So, half a gallon would be 2 quarts. Half a gallon is 2 quarts. So this one is a half gallon. How about this water bottle? It is a pint, about a pint. I have a can of kidney beans. It's about a pint, almost exactly. I have some hand soap that I used up. This is a cup, 1 cup. How about this container? This is actually 2 quarts, also a half gallon container. And here, I've got mustard. Gotta have mustard on my hot dogs. This is a cup. So I hope you've had some fun guessing some of these capacity measurements. Now, it's hard to memorize all of the units in capacity. It takes time and practice. So while you're working on memorizing those units, use a chart. This is, I call it the boxes gallon chart. There's many variations of this out there, but basically it starts with a gallon and it moves down to quart, pint, and cup. And then you can see how many cups fit into a quart, how many pints fit into a gallon when you go up and down. Another way to refer to these measurements is with this one. This has many different names on the internet, but basically it's the gallon. I call it the big G chart. It's a gallon, and then you have your quarts, and you have your pints and your cups inside, and you see how many are in each unit of capacity measurement. So it's helpful to have these on hand whenever you're trying to memorize or solve real-life questions about these units.
Here are pages 2 and 3 of your capacity notes. You can pause the video and take your time to fill these note pages out. You have the key in front of you to help you with your answers.
Okay, now let's move on to units of length in the customary system. Now, what kind of tools do you probably have at home that you can use to measure length? Well, a ruler is an obvious tool to measure length. You can use measuring tape to measure longer units of length. There's even the measuring tape that can wrap around certain things to measure length. And you might have a yardstick or a meter stick at your house to measure length. Let's start with the smallest unit, which is the inch. Now, an inch is a small unit of length. This Post-it is 1 inch wide. So that's an exact measurement. But not every measurement that you're going to think about real life objects are exact. So a paper clip, a small paper clip, is about 1 inch. It's something easy to memorize how long an inch is. Another item that's an inch is your knuckle. Right about here. That's about an inch. Okay, now let's move on to the next highest unit of length, and that is feet. This ruler is exactly 1 foot, and 1 foot contains 12 inches. So, certain things that you can think about to memorize how long a foot is a ruler. And in your school, you probably have square tiles on the floor. Those tiles are 1 foot by 1 foot. So a ruler, square tile, those are easy things to memorize how long a foot is. Now let's move on to the next unit of measurement, and that is a yard. This is a yardstick, and it's exactly 1 yard. Now, 1 yard, the length of a yard is about the floor up to a doorknob. That's a good way to memorize how long a yard is. And a yard is also 3 feet. So, whenever I have a yardstick and I lay out 3 rulers, I know that my yard is exactly 3 feet. Now let's do a conversion. If there are 12 inches in 1 foot and a yard has 3 feet, how many inches long is a yard? How many inches are in a yard? Think about it. Hopefully you thought 36. There's 36 inches in a yard. Now, the next unit of measurement that I'm going to talk about is a mile. Now, a mile is a very long distance. It's like if I were to go on a jog and run a few miles. That would be what I would use to measure the jog in, or if I'm going to drive in my car to go to the grocery store, or if I'm going out of town to visit a relative. I would use miles to measure those units. Now, there are 1,760 yards in a mile. There are 5,280 feet in a mile. So a mile is used to measure long distances. Now, let's move on to our next unit of measurement that we're going to talk about today. Now, let's talk about weight in the customary system. Weight is how heavy something is. What are some tools that you would need to measure weight? Now, in my kitchen, I have a scale. A scale is a fantastic way to measure weight. You set your food item here, and it'll read to you how much that item weighs. Now, this scale is for food only. It's not meant to have more than 5 pounds. So I also have a scale that I keep in my bathroom, and that can measure the weight of an adult or heavier things. So this is meant for large units of weight. So scales are the best way to measure. Now, scales can look many different ways. If you go to the grocery store, go to the produce section and look for a scale in the grocery store and see what that one looks like. Some scales have arrows that go around, other scales are digital. Now, what kinds of units are there in weight? Well, the first unit that I'm going to talk to you about is the ounce. An ounce is a small unit of weight. It is about the weight of a key, a small key. So when you're holding a key in your hand, think about how that's about an ounce. Another item that is about an ounce is a slice of bread. This is about 1 ounce. And another item that's about an ounce is a strawberry. So these items weigh about an ounce. Now, moving up to the next unit of weight, which is a little heavier, that is 1 pound. Now, in a pound, there are 16 ounces. So, let's talk about a pound. A loaf of bread, a full loaf of bread that you can hold in the grocery store, that's about 1 pound. Another item that's about 1 pound is a bottle of water. That's the 16.9 ounce bottle of water. This weighs about a pound. So 1 pound has 16 ounces in it. Now the next unit of weight that I want to talk with you about is the ton. 1 ton is 2,000 pounds. Now what kinds of things would weigh a ton? A giraffe would weigh about a ton. A small car would weigh about 1 ton. So you need to memorize ounce, pound, and ton in the customary system.
Here are pages 2 and 3 of the weight notes. You can pause the video and take your time to work on these pages. You have the keys in front of you to help you with the answers.
Now, in the metric system, when you're measuring capacity, there's only 2 units that you need to memorize, and that is the milliliter. This is a tool that can help you measure milliliters. It's a dropper, and milliliters are very small units of capacity. So I have here, this is actually a little medicine dropper. Inside of this medicine dropper, you can see the blue food coloring I used. This little amount is 1 milliliter. So to measure a small amount like that, you would need a dropper like this. A medicine cup is another good tool to measure milliliters. Now, the larger unit of measurement that measures capacity in the metric system is liters. This water bottle of mine is exactly 1 liter. There are 1,000 milliliters in 1 liter. So you have milliliter and you have a liter that measure capacity in the metric system. Now let's talk about units of length in the metric system. Now the metric system is easier to memorize because it's easy to divide by tens and hundreds, and that's what the metric system uses. Now you can simply use a ruler. This is the ruler I used for inches. Just turn it to the centimeter side and you can use that side. You can also use yardsticks, meter sticks, measuring tape. Those are tools you can use to measure in the metric system of length. So let's start with the smallest unit, and that is the millimeter. Now, the millimeter is a very small unit of length. The tip of my pencil is, I would say, a millimeter. If I were to draw a line, that line is about the width of a millimeter. So a millimeter is a really small unit of length. Now, after a millimeter, you have a centimeter. Now, centimeters can be found on most rulers, and a centimeter is a small unit of length, but it's not as small as the millimeter. So right here, I have a ones cube. We use these to count. These are our ones. We use tens and hundreds in the classroom. So a ones cube, or a unit, is actually exactly 1 centimeter long. So if I were to measure it on my ruler, I see that it's 1 centimeter exactly. So a ones cube, which you can find these in just about any classroom in elementary. Now, that's a centimeter. Something else to remember centimeters is your pinky. Your pinky fingernail, about the width of a pinky, is about a centimeter. Now, there's other units that are about a centimeter, but those are the real life examples that I want to share with you. Another unit that you don't see often, but I did want to include in the video, is the decimeter. A decimeter is 10 centimeters. So if 1 centimeter is a ones cube, then a rod or a 10 stick is going to be the size of a decimeter. That is 10 centimeters. So this is about 1 decimeter, and a crayon is about the length of a decimeter. Now remember, these are about measurements. They're not exact because these are real life examples to help you memorize these units. Now let's move on to the meter. Now, there is a meter stick that will give you an exact unit of measurement. So this here is a meter stick. Now, on the other side, you have inches, but a meter is actually just a little bit longer than a yardstick. So I'm going to take this meter stick, I'm going to hold it up, and I want you to also see the yardstick here. Now you can see the meter stick is just a little bit longer than the yardstick. Let me turn it to the meter side here. There we go. It's a little bit longer than the yardstick, but they're pretty close. So a lot of the same things that you use to remember how long a yard is will also work if you're trying to remember how long a meter is. And a meter is about the width of a door. Also, from the floor measuring up to a doorknob is about a meter. And 1 meter actually has 100 centimeters. So that's something you can remember for meters. Now, the next unit of measurement after the meter is the kilometer. A kilometer is 1,000 of these, 1,000 meters. And kilometers are used for long distances. Traveling, getting in your car and going somewhere, you'll measure those in kilometers, a lot like how you'd measure long distances in miles. So, kilometers are 1,000 meters. So now let's talk about weight in the metric system. Now it's important to know that weight and mass are something that's highly discussed in the metric system. Weight is how heavy something is, and mass is how much is in an object. How dense is it? How much of matter is inside of an object? Now, you can also measure weight with a scale, like I had mentioned before. These scales will work just fine for measuring weight. There's other scales besides these ones, but these will work. And the smallest unit of measurement in the metric system that we're going to talk about is the milligram. That is a teeny tiny unit of weight mass measurement in the metric system. And here's what I have to show you of how small a milligram is. I'm going to actually represent a milligram with salt. I have this super cool salt shaker. And these little tiny grains of salt are the same weight as a milligram. It's that small. Granules from a regular salt shaker are a milligram. I have chia seeds in this little container, and a chia seed is about a milligram. So is a sesame seed from a hamburger bun. Now, the next unit of measurement I'm going to talk with you about is the gram. A gram is also a small unit of measurement. The weight of a dollar bill is about a gram. Also, the weight or mass of a small paper clip is about a gram. So these very small items equal the weight or mass of about a gram. And the large unit of weight or mass in the metric system is a kilogram. Now, a cantaloupe from the grocery store would be a great example of about how much a kilogram weighs, or a brick is about 1 kilogram. This is a real life measurement that is about a kilogram. And there are 1,000 grams in a kilogram. So 1,000 of these would be the measurement of a brick. Now, when it's time to answer real life questions about measurement, you're going to do conversions. And it's really helpful to have charts like this in front of you. Here's a customary conversion chart, and you have all of your capacity, length, and weight conversions to help you multiply and divide to find the correct units. And a metric conversion chart has all of the different units so that you can convert metric units of measurement. Now, let's answer some real life measurement questions on this measurement practice page. Now, I'm going to start with number 1. Mrs. Lozano's trash can holds 13 gallons. True story. If she has 1 in her kitchen and 1 in her garage, how many quarts do both of her trash cans hold? Okay, so we're going to have to convert gallons to quarts. And I need to know the relationship between gallons and quarts. So 1 gallon is actually 4 quarts. So I've got 2 trash cans, and they're both 13 gallons. Now, I need to know how many quarts are in 13 gallons. So if I know that
1 gallon is 4 quarts, then I'm going to take that 4 and I'm going to multiply. 13 times 4 is 52. But I've got a trash can in the kitchen and I have one in the garage. So that's 52 quarts in my kitchen, 52 quarts in my garage. I have to take these numbers and I need to add them together, and 52 plus 52 is actually 104 quarts in all. So when you convert, you're converting one unit of measurement into another. Let's answer number 2 together. This one is about length. The length of Oscar's bedroom was 12 feet. How many yards and inches is the length of his bedroom? Well, I need to know the relationship between feet and yards and feet and inches. So I know that 1 foot is equal to 12 inches. And I know that 1 yard is equal to 3 feet. So his bedroom is 12 feet long. So I'm actually going to have to do multiplication and division here. Let's talk about feet and yards first. Now, I have 12 feet, and I know that 1 yard is actually 3 feet. So I'm going to take 12 feet, and I'm going to divide it by 3 because that is the relationship between yards and feet. So 12 divided by 3 is 4. His bedroom is 4 yards long. Now let's take the feet and convert it to inches. So his room is 12 feet long, and I know that there are 12 inches in 1 foot. So if there are 12 feet in his bedroom, I will multiply 12 times 12 and get 144 inches. So choose the answer choice that has the correct yards and inches in Oscar's bedroom. Now let's answer another length question together. Ryan and his dad run a 5K, that's a 5-kilometer race together every Thanksgiving Day. How many meters is a 5K? Now, it's helpful to have my conversion chart with me, and I know that 1 kilometer is 1,000 meters. Well, Ryan and his dad ran 5 kilometers. So if 1 kilometer equals 1,000 meters, how many would 5 kilometers be? Now, metric conversions are easier because you're multiplying times hundreds, tens, and thousands, and that's easy to do. So 5 kilometers times 1,000 is going to give me 5,000 meters, and that's how long a 5-kilometer race is. I hope you found this video over measurement helpful. If you'd like to see more helpful math videos, please like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you and have a great day.